So what's the limit? If you're building a basement, a gymnasium, a 12,000 square foot house, I mean, could you make a house of any size? Could you make buildings of any size out of modular components?
Well, I suppose it's like Legos. There's no real end to the number of Legos. I think probably the better question is, should we be building houses of this scale? And I am open to your comments and love to hear the feedback, because I can make a very strong argument that we should not be building homes of this scale.
On what would you base that argument?
I think that fundamentally we don't need that much space. I personally would argue for upping the quality of the space at the expense of scale. So often we go the other way around and we fight for scale at the expense of quality, and I think that detracts from our quality of life. So I would argue that smaller is in fact better. We just happen to be invited to a session on big. So I just don't necessarily agree with big. But we do it, and we're often asked to do it, and we will do it to the best of our ability. And what's interesting in the context of big is often the most enjoyable part of that design process is the small guest house or the small pool house. The image you see there, it's that little dining pavilion out hovering over the pool. Those little pieces become, I think, better expressions of the overall concepts of the project. So I think our approach is there's a certain amount of guilt in big. That's a good thing, and we would prefer small.